I'll start off with a straightforward question about this week going into the Whitecaps. What is what's your approach going into this game? It's obviously a big one for the standings.
Yeah, first and foremost, right, with everything going on, it's a huge distraction for us. We're playing the best team in our league at the current moment, so we should be focused on that. Unfortunately, we have some other things that we need to deal with. But look, Vancouver's a really strong side. We know how tough it is to play in Mexico City. When you're playing down 1-0, it's really tough to come back in Mexico City. So kudos to them. They had a great run. Now it's going to be tough, right? They have a lot of guys missing, and it seems like that hasn't played a factor. They've had guys missing, and they're still top of the league. So tough opponent nonetheless. And so we've got to be prepared for a tough battle.
And how would you sort of describe the interpersonal feelings within the club right now? You obviously alluded to these there's distractions coming from the outside. And what would you say the feeling is among the guys, and sort of like, how would you describe it?
Yeah, a bit of frustration, right? Like, we've known about the prize money for a long time. The league hasn't acted upon that. And so you saw our frustration last Sunday. There's been continued frustration for months now. So you guys are just seeing it, but we've had to grind out results with this in the back of our minds. And so we just want this resolved. We want engagement, and unfortunately we haven't had it, even though the prize money has been established for a long time.
To be clear, so there still isn't any movement of the needle since Sunday.
We haven't spoken to the PA today, but to my knowledge, there hasn't been an offer on the table. So we'll see how this afternoon looks.
What about the way that Adrian approached y'all after the game? How is that? How has the locker room players responded to even that? That seems a little bit out of character, maybe, for him.
I mean, I think it's out of character for all of us to act the way we are right now, right? We're all frustrated, and sometimes we wear our emotions on our sleeve, and we see that on the soccer field, we see that off the field, and so. Frustration is important because it means you care. Yeah. And so, we don't see any of this as a viewpoint to hate each other, right? We just want things to get resolved, right? And so frustration is good because it means you care.
And nothing is severed. Relationships aren't severed.
No. This is all about trying to figure out the most fair deal for everybody. We understand, I think the league understands that this deal that's currently on the table is not fair, and so we need to find middle ground, and I think that's important to acknowledge, right? Because I think the league knows that this amount of money that's being granted for playing in this tournament needs to be distributed in a fair way.
And what does fair share now, what does that look like to you folks? What do you folks, you as players, want to see where you feel like this would be the right, fair thing to do?
Well, right now there's $28 million on the table for 3 teams, and the players itself altogether are getting $3 million. And so when you look at that from that perspective, it seems like a bit lopsided, right? When you look at the standard, I think worldwide, you players are getting paid handsomely for going further and further in tournaments, for participating in tournaments that have big money, and so we want that standard that is across the world, right? And that's important. We've talked to a lot of teams, and so we'll hope to get to that point.
And have there been any talks amongst your teammates or fellow players of even sitting out any of these games if you guys don't feel like you guys are getting that fair share?
Yeah, that's an important question, right? Because unfortunately we're 10 days away. But, I obviously don't want to speculate. I don't know what the future holds. And there's, essentially, there's a lot of things that can happen leading up to that point. So we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what this next week looks like, but we're trying to take it day by day.
A lot of the reports that we gathered in terms of what Adrian said indicated that he felt like maybe there was some sort of betrayal, like you guys should have walked up to him, maybe talked to him more directly. Did you get that out of what Adrian said, and do you feel like that's a fair assessment on it?
I think communication is extremely important, right? That's where relationships are made or broken. Unfortunately, I feel like maybe we could have done a better job of communicating with Adrian. I think he'll probably say the same thing towards us. But what we want to acknowledge is that we talked about this publicly. We were aware. I think a lot of people, whether it's front office, players, other players in the league, were aware that we have been frustrated for a long time. We have brought this to the attention of a lot of people, like you media members. So internally, those conversations should have been held for a long time. We should have communicated with him. He should have communicated with us. I think that's a fair thing to say, and I think that when we have a conversation with Adrian, I think it'll be candid, and we'll give him our perspective. He'll give us ours, and we'll move on.
And according to the information that we've been able to been told or gathered, it sounds like Mexican teams and maybe some of these bonuses and additional performance incentives are not necessarily going to be given. Have you been told anything about maybe what it is or it's not that FIFA really will be granting to CONCACAF teams and anybody who's participating in the tournament?
As I'm aware, it's $9.55 million for every team. And every win is $2 million. Every tie is $1 million. So I think it's very standard across the board. The more you win, the more money you make. But again, there's a big discrepancy between the amount of money that is being given to teams and then the amount of money that is taken home by players.
Christian, do you plan on, or does the team plan on wearing the shirts again? What are, if you're still not able to move the needle, what are next steps? But first, are you going to wear the shirts?
We'll see, right? I think we talked about doing it. We're talking about day to day, right? We are waiting to hear back from the league. We've been hearing back. We've been waiting for months now, and so we're taking it day by day. We'll see what happens. We'll see which way the needle goes. But for us, we're trying to focus on Vancouver. That's important to us as well, right? We need to be doing these things simultaneously, unfortunately, but we have a big game this weekend.
Christian, going back to Vancouver, you guys have had success playing up there in that stadium. You point to anything of why specifically you guys have been able to get so many points and trophies in recent years up there in Vancouver?
I think that this is a different Vancouver team. I think this is a team that brings a lot of intensity and mentality. Not that they haven't done in the past, but they're now scoring goals. They're a big team that threatens in front of goal, and I think that when you have that at home, it makes it tough, because if you are in a low block and they can still score against a low block, it makes it tough, right? We're seeing that at home when we play low block teams and we don't score a goal. It becomes a long day, and so this is a team that can punish you in front of goal, and so we have to be ready. We have to be ready to sprint. We have to be ready to backtrack. We have to be ready to win second balls, because their mentality has been great.
Is not going to have nearly double-digit players because of international duty.
Well, what we've seen out of Vancouver is that they have the same style regardless, and so we can prepare regardless for a tough Vancouver side. Now, we might not know who's going to play up front. We might not know who's going to play, in midfielder positions, but their mentality and their intensity and their formation usually stays the same.
A good portion of your teammates weren't around in 2020 when you guys protested for Black Lives Matter. Can you talk a little bit about how they have, how they're reacting, how they're unifying together, and just kind of handling the situation? I know it's a distraction, but how do you see your teammates maybe even handling this moment?
Yeah, I think it's kudos to our locker room. I think we have really good leadership and guys that also want to speak up, right? Guys that are quiet normally that speak up, and so we have a great mix between older guys, DPs that are bought in, and then young guys that want to follow suit, right? And that's kudos to our locker room, to our GM who has put this team together, front office. I mean, the whole environment altogether, the culture of this team is probably the strongest I've seen. I've been saying this for years now. And one thing that I do want to talk about is the unification between Miami and LAFC as well, right? We're in constant communication with them, and we understand where we're at, and so we're doing this together. This isn't just Seattle Sounders. This is the teams that are in Club World Cup, trying to work with the league to make something happen.
How important for the cause is it that a magnetine icon like Messi and Busquets and Alba get behind this motive and this protest?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the letter to Don Garber, right, with all the signatures, and in those signatures there were some big players on there, and so the fact that they're with us, right, they're fighting for the same right, the fair share, is important, right? They play a huge factor. And adding LAFC into the mix, right? That's another thing for us. Like we're it's not just two teams anymore; it's three, and so really important to have everybody on the same page. And it's great to see, and it's great to see how motivated we all are.
And as you discussed earlier, throughout this whole presser, there's been frustration for the last couple months, especially the last couple days. Is there still excitement to play on this world stage, or potentially play on this world stage too, especially in Seattle at your home field?
Of course, there's excitement to play against PSG, Atletico, and Botafogo. They're huge teams, right? They're big teams. And then I could say the same thing, right? Like the whole discrepancy part, right? We know what they're gonna make, and so it's sad to be on the same field as those guys, and then all of a sudden, we're getting paid, a very big difference in percent. Of course, we're excited because we're playing against the Champions League winner, the current Champions League winner, a team that has been extremely good. Atletico, who has had a culture that you can see on the field, and Botafogo, a renewed team that brings a lot of energy, and so we have one of the strongest groups in the league or in the tournament, and so understanding that part and how difficult it is going to be is such a fun challenge.
And I like in years past.
Yeah, in a way, right? But at the same time, right, you don't know who you're going to play, right? These guys just finished off a long year. Some of them are in national team camp. They might be getting a few more weeks off, but it's exciting nonetheless, right? PSG, for example, is a team that is extremely fluid. They move around so much, and they're really hard to dispossess. We were watching Atletico Madrid in Champions League, and how determined they are even when they get a red card. I mean, those are moments that you can like bond together as a team in the locker room while watching, and so it's exciting, of course. But again, with all these distractions, it in a way kind of takes away from all of that, because we just don't know what's next. Right?
Cristian, como el capitán del equipo, ¿cuál tú ves que sea la resolución? ¿Qué es lo que el objetivo es para que todo se resuelva por parte de esta protesta de la compensación que se les está dando por el Mundial de Clubes?
Sí, importante tener un porcentaje que se ve entre todo el mundo, porque para nosotros competir en un torneo así de grande es importante pues hacer el dinero que nosotros merecemos, porque entramos a este torneo ganando el campeonato. Siempre es difícil ganar un campeonato, y ahora que este torneo hay mucho más dinero, es importante pelear para eso.
Seattle empezó las protestas, pero deberíamos esperar alguna clase de gestión por parte de LAFC e Inter Miami.
Vamos a ver qué pasa esta semana con la liga, si hay una oferta. Pero sí, hemos hablado con LAFC y Miami, y vamos a ver si hay una respuesta de nuestras camisetas, y vamos a ver qué va a pasar con Miami, LAFC, nosotros. hoy en día tenemos que hablar día a día.
En el peor de los casos, si no llegase a darse una resolución, ¿está dispuesto Seattle a no jugar los partidos de Mundial de Clubes? ¿Y crees que los otros clubes estén dispuestos a no jugar?
Como te dije antes, día a día, es muy importante saber qué dice la liga. Primero, tenemos que hablar con la liga, vamos a ver si la liga quiere tener una oferta para nosotros y después podemos hablar de todo eso.
Gracias.